so great. Welcome. I am Jennifer Hunt, and I am the Chief Intelligence Officer with the Real Estate Wealth Lab. So welcome to our Market Leaders Lab. I understand that there's a bunch of you out there who are joining us on social media right now. This is live. So thank you for tuning in on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever you happen to be hanging out. We're hanging out with you. So welcome to the Real Estate Wealth Lab, Market Leaders Lab. We have some very special guests for you today. I'm very excited about it. And I'm going to share my screen. So our little agenda here right now is I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go and tell you a little bit about what the Real Estate Wealth Lab is, and then we're going to get right into our special guests. And if you're thinking about property management and real estate and some of the burdens that go with it, that is exactly why we chose today's song, Break Free by Queen, because there are great ways with prop tech to make it more efficient, definitely cheaper. So more efficient, less expensive, and certainly at your fingertips, which is also really important for getting your clients on board as well. So we're going to talk all about that with our special guest today. One moment while I share my screen. And hopefully you see the formal presentation. Right on. Okay, so this is our Market Leaders Lab. We have them every month. We actually have lots of events, and I'll go through those in just a moment. Today we have Tenant Cube, and if you have not heard of Tenant Cube, you are in for a real treat. I've been playing around with it all week and getting in there and putting in my properties and checking it out, and there's some great functionality, so stick with us. We've got Kayla Andrade. She's the president of Ontario Landlords Watch, as well as Andrews Moses joining us, who's the co-founder and CEO of Tenant Cube. And just to make this even more interesting, we've got Vincent Sundar, the Chief Technology Officer of the Real Estate Wealth Lab. So it's kind of a little bit Dragon's Den-y, hey? Because Vincent's going to be able to ask the questions that yours truly, who's not really technologically responsible, he'll be able to ask some different questions as well. So what we love about Tenant Cube is confidence in screening, rent collection, and property management, as well as maintenance. You think maintenance on digital? Wow. So before we get into this, I'd like to say a huge welcome to all of our members here today. It's so great to see, even if it's just your names. I know some of you got your videos on, which is awesome. We really appreciate that. It's always good and delight to see you, and we thank you for your support. So Mark, it's great to see you, and Doug, as always, amazing. Jen, I see you're out there, and Tara, which is awesome. Latif, I feel like it's been a little while, so thank you for showing up. Or maybe, you know, it's been a little while. Brian, Sophie, amazing to see you all. So thank you again for always joining us right here at the Real Estate Wealth Lab. All right, so a little bit about us for those of you out in social media land. We're here to help you take your real estate portfolio to the next level, whether you're just starting, whether you're scaling, or whether you are succeeding and wanting to exit your portfolio. We've got a path, a plan, and a product and a tool all within this membership for you to leverage right away. So we have research, data, and analysis. We bring that together with artificial intelligence and real estate investment leaders, our proprietary analysis formula, which is really amazing. And we actually are able to create personalized investment intelligence for you. No matter where you are today, where do you want to go, and how do we get you exactly where you need to be for your future? So here are a couple of our members, our team members at REWL, and these are just a few. This entire organization is supported by so many wonderful human beings behind the scenes. So thank you to the entire team. A couple shout outs, Richard Dolan, our Chief Growth Officer, Naran, he's our Chief Leadership Officer. I know he's in the house, give a wave, yeah, there you are. Ken, I know you're on. I think you're not gonna be able to have your video on, but Ken is here, he's our Chief Operating Officer. Vincent, Chief Technology Officer in the house, where are you? There you go, say a wave, and he'll be coming on in a little bit. Yan is our Chief Marketing Officer. Rob, a Chief Real Estate Strategist, yes, giving a wave, looking a little witness protection-y over there, my friend Rob, but that's okay, we love you anyway. And Paige, our beautiful Head of Customer Experience, give a wave. Awesome. Oh, and who's with Paige? Yes, hello. Got an extra, get them young into real estate investing. Why not? All right, and we all have different roles, as you can tell, and you might want to follow us on Instagram. We all share lots of different things. So Vincent's talking more about, well, property technology and all other kinds of technology as well. And Rand's talking leadership and real estate. And Yan, of course, has some great marketing advice, which is important. And I usually talk a lot about, well, let's see, market research. As a chief intelligence officer, if you want data and where markets are going for sure, and then also vacation rentals and co-ownership. So moving along, what you get with REWL is a whole bunch of stuff. Weekly reports with expert commentary, giving you the buy, hold, and sell signals in a weekly newsletter, for example. Those macro trends of, yeah, I know, I said it. So the US and Canadian macro political economy is important to your real estate. So exciting. I know many of us don't realize that when we first get started, but these macro trends and what's going on with the currency and the dollar and the political climate and GDP, what's that, and how it impacts, and actually how it impacts your real estate, and then what to do with it. So it's very practical, even though it might sound like it's a little esoteric or academic. Regular live digital events like this, yes, we will be having live, like in-person events in the near future. We just launched in January, so we are just getting started. And oh, yay, see, and we've got, by the way, we've got people from around the world. We are Canada and the US. We are not just in one location. And we've got folks dialing in from Mexico. We've got folks who are interested from Costa Rica and from the US. I know like Jan's on, for example. And that's the thing. We are a global organization looking at global real estate. And in fact, we had our first global market analysis, I think it was last month. And of course, the sunny Okanagan. Hey, Tammy, great to see you. We also have masterminds, community, you name it. So I'm not going to go through all of our products and portal aspects, but we do have a member portal. And in there are a ton of things, including newsletters, including recordings of events such as this. So if you missed it, you can go back. Or if sometimes it was maybe a little complicated or you wanted to revisit like what's going on, those are always there for you as a member. And also the PowerPoints. So, hey, if you're doing a pitch, you get to go and grab that data, look like a superhero, and go and use it in your own PowerPoints and pitch decks to your potential joint venture partners. We also have calculators, and it says quick calculator laboratory, which is true, but we also have a seriously in-depth calculator laboratory. So go and check those out. I was using one just this week. Like we put all of this in play. If we've got it, we're using it. So we're always refining it as well. And I'd like you to save the dates. So we actually hang out together like this. Yeah, 3 Wednesdays a month. That's quite a bit. So we get to know each other, we get to hang out, we get to learn quite a bit. So the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Wednesdays of every month, come and join us, save those dates, and these are the actual dates. So today is May 11th. Yes, you have all joined, and thank you for joining out there in social media land. We really appreciate you. So this is today, our Market Leaders Lab, and I'll introduce our special guests from Tenant Cube in just a moment. And then the next one will be June 8th. Community Lab is next week, May 18th. And little secret here is actually Tenant Cube will be coming back and giving us a really incredible insight and demonstration of their products. So next week is going to be really important to tune in. And then our Research Lab, which is where we go through all of the economics of what's going on, it's going to be May 25th. And for those of you who are wondering, what is it that we do for market analysis? We're actually going to be going through an entire view of some of the markets, well, most of the markets that we have actually done since September. So you're going to be able to see the full breadth and what's going on with them right now. So these are those dates. And okay, see, this is where I almost forgot. So I am not technology kind of person, but I am trying. And I have recently learned how to scan. This is a QR code. So if you want to register now for next week's event on May 18th, which is actually the Community Lab, my apologies that my edit didn't stay. So Community Lab with Tenant Cube, you can scan that and get registered right now. So I'm just going to say, hey, out there, if you've got a phone, do that, and you're going to be already ready to hang out next week. So that's fantastic. And become a REWL ambassador. So once you are a member, you can actually earn credit towards your REWL membership. 10% off for one person. So you get, bring in a few people, and all of a sudden you're a REWL member for basically free, and all of your friends and your joint venture partners and other investors are benefiting. Now, is that a win, 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 win? I love those. Oh, I hope I did this right. Can you hear it? Okay. So I should have done that differently. Let me set this up for you. So as I mentioned, we just launched in January, and we have developed, as you can see, a lot for our members already, and we have more coming. So in May 25th, we're actually launching a whole new suite of products that are going to be amazing for you. So this is a little teaser about what is coming soon. Awesome. So excited. And for those of you who have not yet joined us, your REWL membership actually begins with a 30-day free trial. So you have nothing to lose. So for those of you who are out there listening to this, scan that QR code, or if you want to go old school, which would be my way, I guess I would do it, is at www.realestatewealthlab.com/trial. So either way, you can come and join us. You're going to get a 30-day free trial. And well, I got to tell you, May 25th, some things are going to be different. So you're going to want to check in right now in order to make sure that you're with us. Let's put it that way. All right. So again, if you have any questions, you can reach us on Instagram and all the social medias, and of course, email us or go to our website. Now, we're almost there. Thank you so much for learning a little bit about Real Estate Wealth Lab. And one thing that I just want to make sure that we've got a disclaimer that, of course, everything that we're talking about, it's really, you've got to make sure that you do your diligence. This is just a normal legal disclaimer. We may be providing, for example, forward-looking information or these kinds of things, but that doesn't, it just means that you've got to go and get your own advice. So housekeeping, this is being recorded. So just so you know, it's being recorded and it will be available in our member portal. And then some of our chat rules, we want you to ask questions, engage with us, ask questions, have feedback, say hello. I see a lot of you are nice chitty chatty and already saying lovely complimentary things. My pleasure. I'm glad that you loved today's newsletter. We have that newsletter that goes out every Wednesday. So thank you, Tara. Be respectful, courteous, and kind. Well, that is an example of respectful, courteous, and kind. But we do ask that you don't solicit or sell, please, and thank you. So now, I'm going to introduce them, but I really want to give you a chance to scan this, take a page. If you could pop that link in there, you're going to want to save it for later. This is how you get to Tenant Cube. This is how you get to understand all of what they've got going on and actually become, because you are going to want this after we've talked about it today. And you can scan. I will show this again at the end of our presentation and our discussion with Kayla and Andrews, but I thought I would make sure that you had it now. So there you go. And Paige has already popped it in the chat, so you can copy and paste that for when you choose to come on board. Okay, so without further ado, I'd love to introduce, and everyone's getting spotlighted. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for our event team. So we've got, I'm going to go with ladies first. So Kayla, you're the president of Ontario Landlords Watch, and you're involved with Tenant Cube. Please, thank you. First of all, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I became a landlord at the age of 18. I've been doing it now for almost 20 years. I became a landlord advocate in 2010, so 12 years ago, when the city of Cambridge made landlords responsible for their tenants' delinquent utility bills. Through my advocacy of trying to overturn that, we started from a municipal level to a provincial level, in which there was letters and emails coming back to me saying, hey, I need you to fight the Residential and Tenancy Act, the Landlord and Tenant Board. Like, there's a lot of errors and delays. Like, I had no clue what I was getting myself into, but I knew that there was a group of landlords that needed help. And I knew that there was a better system. I know that there's a better solutions out there. And the only way to do that is to bring in our landlords and our property managers and real estate agents and paralegals together with our elected officials. So I've been working hard to build that relationship with elected officials on multiple different levels in order to gain their trust, to understand their issues, in order to give our recommendations. And of course, that it's politics. It will take time and effort. We have gotten little timbits throughout the years, little changes that we were able to focus on, especially with the Landlord and Tenant Board in Ontario being online. It was definitely one of the recommendations, but we know that there's more. We need to do more for our community of landlords. And that is why I got involved with Tenant Cube, because I know that we need different products and different services to help our landlords avoid very costly mistakes, or to help them be more of a professional if they don't want to have a property manager. So this is why I was pleased to be the ambassador of Tenant Cube, and as well as Front Lobby. So it's been a treat of mine to share these tools with our investors so that we can prepare them to be in real estate for the long haul and prepare them with whatever we can give them.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing, Kayla. You're a woman after my own heart. Who here, or even out on LinkedIn or whatever, if you're watching us, who here actually owns rental properties in Ontario? Pop it in the chat or put up your hand. Yeah, Kayla, I wish I had met. Yeah, okay, Naran, obviously got some, yeah, quite a few of you. All right, so we really appreciate you, because landlord tenant boards have some, they've been going through some changes, and it's fantastic to know that there's some resources out there who are working on our behalf, and Ken and Sophie, you all do. So getting to know Kayla is a really good idea. So that's awesome. So welcome, Kayla, really appreciate it. And now, and also thank you for sharing how that works with Tenant Cube, because we are going to definitely make those connections today in our conversation about how Tenant Cube can help you with our friends over there. All right. So Andrews, let's go to guests first, if you don't mind, Vincent. So Andrews, please go ahead and introduce yourself and welcome. So first of all, everyone, Andrews is the co-founder and the CEO of Tenant Cube. So we are in good hands today.
Thanks a lot, Jennifer. And I started Tenant Cube a few years ago simply because I made all those costly mistakes that Kayla mentioned. When I started my first rental property, I rented it to a young family with a baby, trusted their story, shook hands. 6 months later, turned out to be armed robber and drug dealers arrested for life. And it took me $15,000 and 8 months of sleepless nights to recover my home. That was my introduction to real estate in Canada, my first ever rental property. So I learned every mistake that you shouldn't be doing, like sort those documents, have their full names, document everything you're chatting with people, right? So those are things that I did. And I was kind of stuck there and thinking, you know what, enterprise solutions don't care about me because I had 5 units. They wanted anybody with 2,000 units. I said, is there a way we could go build something? And that's kind of led me through a path of figuring out what to do and kind of try to build a platform that can help small landlords like myself and my buddies who had their horror stories rent with confidence and document everything in one single platform from any device. So that's been our story. I was from technology. I built a previous company that I built is currently in trading in NASDAQ. So I thought I wanted to get out and build a real estate empire. But the problems there pushed me back into trying to solve a couple of those problems before I try to become a landlord myself.
That is awesome. So we so appreciate you and sharing that Yeah, for your first property to have that kind of challenge, and then you're still with it solving problems. I mean, so many people, Andrews, in terms of resiliency, would just say, you know what, I am out, like forget it. But no, you leaned into the problem and now are creating solutions for landlords across Canada and the US, if I may add. And what else do I want to say about that? Because yes, so across the US, but oh, I had something I really wanted to talk about. And making it very, very affordable. And that's something that is like with the prop tech aspect of it, which is really awesome because we've got Vincent here who's going to pepper us with some extra questions. But yeah, I really appreciate your story, Andrews, and thank you for creating solutions for us. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Because you mentioned small operators, if you will, small businesses and small landlords. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the majority of rental housing out there is actually provided by the small landlords, and it's very expensive, like you said, with those enterprise systems. That's fancy, I think, for just like big systems for big companies. Oh, Vincent's nodding. I got it right. Okay. Yay. So this is really cool because we need elegant and efficient and cheap. Yes, I'm going to say cheap solutions because we aren't the big guys. But guess what? In Canada, we provide more than 70%, and that's conservative. Like if you even want to say 60% and be extra conservative, fine. But it's somewhere upwards of 70%, even more, of all rental housing in Canada is provided by people who mostly have full-time jobs and who are just trying to make some, new arrangements for their retirement or whatever have you. So thank you, Andrews. This is amazing, amazing product. Thank you. So Vincent, our Chief Technology Officer at the Real Estate Wealth Lab, is also joining us. So Vincent, tell us a little bit about yourself and your various hats as well. I love it. Everyone in real estate seems to have all these different hats.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. I'm super excited for this this call today because I'm in prop tech, so property tech, and fintech, so finance tech. My background, I've been in technology next year for almost 30 years, so it's been a while. And yeah, you can't tell, but yeah, I'm involved in it.
Would never have known.
Oh, I know. But I love the solution that Andrews and the group have created. It's definitely something that landlords need, especially, like you said, 70% of us, right? Landlords are not large enterprises, right? So we need affordable solutions, and man, these guys, they nailed it. So I can't wait to talk more about it. But yeah, from a property technology perspective, I've looked at it, I've gone through it, I love it. I think all landlords should have something like this. If they're, smaller landlords, even to apartments, you name it. So I can't wait for us to discuss this solution more.
Awesome. Well, you'll be going into that very deeply next Wednesday, May 18th at our community lab. And you're going to actually be taking it for a test drive with Andrew. So that's always fun, getting two techie folks to take a test drive. Awesome.
And one side note, Vincent, I was talking to one of our customers today, and you actually called him at that exact same time I was on a call with him. And he was like, oh, you on the call tonight? And he's like, Vincent's just calling me. I'm like, oh, wow, that's such a small world, right?
Oh, it is.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, now I've stopped sharing the screen, so we now are all acquainted. And what I'd like for us to do is, if you're thinking out there, there's a couple of ways to be listening today. Always when you come to our Real Estate Wealth Lab, you can be looking and hearing from different perspectives. And one of them is if you're just starting out in real estate, well, you just heard Andrew's story, and many of us have had those, maybe not that in depth, wow. But we've had some horror stories along the way. So you can definitely be listening from getting started and mitigating your risks. If you're considering scaling, maybe you're hitting against those walls of paperwork. Yeah, even with digital systems of scanning and getting the right rental application, like I'm speaking so much from experience because I've designed digital online, like Google Drive things to like put all your stuff in the right direction. And honestly, I'm still looking for documents, and I've been doing this for a very long time, investing in real estate and property, my own property management in some cases. So if you're scaling, you definitely want to be listening from that ear. How can this be more efficient for you? And then if you're succeeding, and I'm going to have Andrews and Kayla talk a little bit about how that can be used in this particular platform. And what that means is if you're wanting to succeed, in other words, are you passing along your portfolio? You're like, hey, I'm tired, I'm done. It's time for my children or my best friend or potentially a charity of your choice to take over your properties because you're ready to move them along, but you still want to keep that legacy and generational wealth building. This platform will help you do that. So again, there's just always many, many ways to listen, and we'll hopefully weave some of that throughout today. So let's start with, what is prop tech? And maybe Vincent, I'm going to lob this one to you just as a real high level, because we're talking some lingo here. So let's get that out of the way.
Sounds good. Pretty simple. Prop tech is property tech. So anywhere where you got property and then there's a way you can introduce technology into it, to get greater efficiencies, calculations, all that stuff. Prop tech, anything dealing with property and technology, mix it together, that's what you get.
Okay, well, thank you very much. This is so succinct and perfect. This is why you do you. This is great. Awesome. So then I'd love for, between Andrews and Kayla, however you want to bounce this around, is give us maybe like a few minute overview of what is Tenant Cube. Just like straight up, what is it?
Call your baby, Andrews.
All right, sounds good. So a Tenant Cube is an end-to-end property management solution. So we provide platform that enables small landlords. We focus on the small individual landlords who want to do it themselves, from creating property repository to screening tenants, collecting rent effectively on the platform itself, and also once you find a good tenant, you want to keep them longer. So how do you provide that maintenance and that communication and track everything in one place? So it's end-to-end from the time you decide to get into renting, adding properties, to all the way when the tenant leaves, you find a new one. So it's almost like a cycle, right? So from end-to-end, everything in a single platform, whether it is from your work desktop or if you're a mobile person, we provide options from any device. You can manage your property wherever you are in the world.
I'm smiling already. That's amazing. And Kayla, anything to add to that from your perspective?
When you look at property management software, it's always been up there high in price, even for me being a property manager for 2 years and realizing you need to be organized, you need to have the proper tools. And when this program is having everything that you need to manage your day-to-day operations of screening your tenants, managing your tenants, and making sure that you have your butt covered whenever there's a dispute that rises at such an affordable rate, that's what really caught my eye to this, because it's not just for the concept that it's affordable, it's given us everything that we need to be proper professional small landlords. And that's something that, like you said, we have over 70% of the housing stock being created by small landlords. Now we're also the dinosaur stage where we have like pen and piece of paper and spreadsheets, but a lot of each province is starting, and even states are going on that digital route, and a lot of things are doing digital. So we're excited to be a part of this and give more to what this platform already has. There's more that's coming in the near future with our roadmap, and it's going to just continue to keep providing that value that each member is going to love.
Awesome. Before I ask you to sort of go back, we're going to like touch a little bit on, obviously we heard what inspired this, but a bit about your beginnings and how you started it. So we're going to circle back to that, but just so that everyone's on the same page as to what the heck we're talking about with this amazing Tenant Cube, I'd love for you to share the top 5 problems that you solve. Well, that Tenant Cube solves, not you personally, but your company.
Well, number one is that when you look at the concept of marketing, right? So a lot of our landlords are out there, they're either trying to hire a real estate agent, they're trying to hire a property manager, they're not confident in the way that they're advertising their rental unit or where to advertise their rental unit. And this is what really drives them into paying very hefty prices to lease out their unit. And again, are we getting the best tenant? There's always a chance. You never know what you're going to be getting. This is why when you now work with the platform, being able to create that online digital footprint to be able to advertise your rental property in multiple different locations. This is where it's a quick, easy click of a button. It's going out to the right people. And then now you have that option to be sending them the information that is needed in order before you even book them. You know, we have a lot of tire kickers out there. You know, if you're booking in a tenant to come and look at a place, you're booking in 10 of them, only 3 of them show up, right? Like sometimes when you're looking at giving them the application process before you book a showing with them, this is now going to stop those tire kickers, and they're going to be able to, I just provided this guy with a bunch of my personal information. I'm going to make sure that I show up for this type of application, for this viewing. And it allows us to be more consistent and more appreciative of our time in order to make sure that we are doing proper marketing for our rental units in itself.
I love that, Kayla. And sorry, no, I love that. And I just want to add in here that there was actually a hidden gem in there for those of you listening, and you may or may not have caught on to it, but Kayla actually gave you a pro tip on screening and getting past some of those tire kickers by actually sending out a rental application before you actually do a viewing and schedule a viewing. Back in the old days, it was viewing first and then a rental application. Do you remember those days? Yeah, those days are done. And Kayla just had a nice little pro tip in there. So I wanted to highlight that as well.
And when you're looking at the concept of that application, now people are like, okay, the application's going out. And you know, when applications come back, they're coming by text, they're coming by email. There's a whole bunch of them that are coming. This platform just puts it right there, and the tenants can upload their face. You know, they're providing their documents right there for us so that you're not making that mistake. Because I know I almost did once, where you're like, okay, I like this person. I'm going to put a star on this application. But then when you're calling them, it's like, you don't sound like the person I was talking to. So you're getting that wrong person because you never had something to really go back on in that phase. And now all the applications are coming back very organized for you to look at all the documents that they provided you, and also being able to pinpoint a face to the name as you met them at the viewing.
That's a very good point. And not to accidentally email the wrong individual who's applying. Okay, got it. This is helpful. What other problems does Tenant Cube solve?
I'm going to keep going. I got all the problems.
Okay. All right, Andrews, you're going to have to jump in here.
Maybe I'll get a chance for one problem. Like one of the problems that we solved for small landlords that I had initially was, first of the month is always nervous for small landlords like us. Like if you have 2,000 properties and 10 people don't pay rent on time, no big deal. You still have other cash flow coming in, but I have 5 mortgages and 5 homes, right? So I got money coming out of my bank. Banks are going to pull it out on the 5th. So it's always nervous time. Do I remind my tenant? They've always paid on time. It's the 8 p.m. for the 1st. Do I remind them? Versus this system does automatic direct deposits. It pulls the money for tenants who allow to be pulled, which is part of my screening, by the way. When I talk about that, it's going to be a direct deposit kind of a stuff. And if they're super happy about it, then we know we probably found the right one. Versus if they're like, you can't force EFT on me. And like, okay, no problem. Well, all of my tenants are on EFTs and some of them don't. But what the system does is it reminds them every 1st of the month, and it gives them an option to click and pay. So that way, again, I'm not worried about texting them or contacting them or nervous about, hey, do I remind them today or do I wait until 2nd? Versus the system does it, right? So making that collection of the rent and any payments related stuff too, like utilities, like Kayla mentioned. If you have a water bill that's sitting there for 2 months, you can easily request that payment within the system, attach a receipt, send it to the tenant, and let them pay it online. Gets it straight into your bank account, and you can track those at any time. So that's one of the areas where we help with the peace of mind, we call it, so that once you set it up, onboard the tenant, and then off you go.
That's amazing. So, and I'm seeing a lot of folks in there going, oh, automatic reminders. Wait, slow down. Let's get back to that. So the system actually will send out an automatic, like, sort of reminder on the 30th or the 31st or something, like whatever, however you set it up, to the tenant, say, hey, and say pay. But can you also set up automatic withdrawals?
That is right. So most of our tenants, most of our landlords love that, and it's only a transaction fee. There's no percentage fee there. It's a $2 per transaction, and landlords love it. For $2, the system automatically dips into the tenant's bank account, pulls that money, and deposits it right into the landlord's bank account. That's one. And Intract is also enabled as well. So it's super convenient, and it gives both parties transparency. And at the end of the day, we're trying to build a great experience for both parties, right? If you find a great tenant, you want to keep them longer. So that's where the third problem, obviously, Kayla, I'll let you talk about other problems. Maybe one thing I found was the communication was a little bit of a nightmare for me, because some people will text me, some people will call me, some will email me. And I was like, okay, I know they sent me something related to something leaking. God knows they texted to me. I don't know, I can't find it. How do I send this to my maintenance person? Today, what I do is we put a QR code from Tenant Cube on every fridge in my rental property. If they have an issue, they scan the QR code, the form pops up, they snap a picture, submit it in, and we can get our handyman to take care of it, or contractors to get it done. So I'm not worried about, did I track this? Did I do this? And adding to Kayla's point, if it's done and if it's documented, the before and after pictures are in the app. So if they ever go south, and if I have to go to LTD, I can print work orders with date timestamps. Here's how the tickets came in. Here's when we solved it. Here are the before and after pictures. Right? So that's one.
This is amazing. Like, a lot of us are drooling. Like, okay, so now I've got to ask Vincent for some support here. Because remember, I just said that I'm really learning how to use these QR codes. Yes, because of the lockdowns of the pandemic. How else do you eat these days? So of course I had to learn how to use a QR code. But Vincent, would it be, and maybe Andrews, you can answer this, but Vincent, would it be expensive? Like, how does it work with a QR code on appliances? Like, I never thought about that.
Oh, you're just scanning. It's just a little barcode. You scan it on your phone. It'll pop up an app on the mobile device. You fill it in, take in the pictures, and just submit it. So you're not using any special technology besides your phone or your iPad. You know. Anything.
So but from a landlord perspective, to get that QR code onto my appliances, that seems like special technology. Andrews, Kayla, do you guys provide that?
It's a simple print option, but one of our landlords just gave us a great idea where he's actually ordering fridge magnets for all his tenants with his logos and branding on it, with the QR code embedded right on the magnet. So it's going to be a marketing for him. He's going to ship it to all his tenants and say, hey, thanks for choosing to be with us. Here's a magnet, throw it on your fridge at any time, have an issue, scan, submit it, we take care of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so that's a bold statement, and it shows that they care about the tenant.
Yeah, and it's not for every appliance. It's just like a business card on the fridge. That's all it is, with a QR code. That's what it is.
Thank you. Okay, so it would be a QR code for the unit for any work order that would need to go up underneath there. Got it. Very, very cool. Very awesome. Okay, so another problem that Tenant Cube solves.
Are you good, Andrews? I got a bunch.
I'll
we
let
haven't
you go.
solved all of it. So we got to get onto the console. Well, so because we're talking about maintenance, I think we should really understand that whenever time there's a non-payment of rent situation happening, and no matter which province you are, we tend to come up with tenants who will complain about maintenance, right? So through the platform and having that detailed communication portal is the way that you're showing your proof, your document that this is when the tenant complained, this is when we responded, this is when the contractor was sent out. The contractor can actually be in this platform as well, giving you updates on for the tenant and to the landlord, informing you when the job is going to be done. And all of this is very crucial with anyone that is doing property management. We really have to keep a very direct dialogue, even if you have a phone call, getting into your system and being able to just make that, hey, had a phone call, this is what the conversation was about, and now you're documenting it. It's very important because when you go and deal with your dispute, they will ask for this type of evidence. And this is why it's very crucial that our maintenance is on point and our communication is on point, because then we don't have to deal with a tenant trying to get money back from their rent or not being able to get an eviction because of the maintenance work that was either not done or was caused by the tenant. So this is a great way to make sure that we're protecting our landlords by using the work orders and being able to be very smiley with your adjudicator to be like, just to let you know, this is my process. This is our platform. This is what my tenant is required to do. This is what we told them that it's going to do. And this is why I am now the professional landlord and not a slum landlord.
Wow. And that's so important. I mean, if anybody here has ever gone through some of these challenges with the Landlord Tenancy Act or the boards or whatever have you, and having to present your case, you basically have to become a lawyer for yourself. And yes, there are paralegals and of course legal assistance that you can get in support of it, but preparing them, it can be timely, and if you haven't gotten your documents in a row, it can take up a lot of time and energy. So that's very cool, Kayla. May I ask one more question about that? About sort of is there integration? And I know this is specifically with Ontario, and I heard some other folks asking about other landlord tenants requirements boards, and I just want to actually address that. So you guys are in North America, you're in US and in Canada. So regardless of the actual board itself, you will have all the documentation that you need in the right order with all the timestamps, etc., to build a case. So for example, if it's in the US, that's okay, because you still pretty much need the same documentation to show that you're responsible and your communications are timely, etc., etc. So from that perspective, it definitely works in the US and in Canada in all of the different jurisdictions, because they're all different. But then specifically because Kayla, you've got so much experience in Ontario, is there something that's connecting like with the online landlord tenant board in Ontario? Because they've got an online section now too. So is there something that's more efficient there?
So with the Ontario landlords, the landlord and tenant board now gone digital. They said a digital first, not digital only. It's also modeling off of other provinces, and we're going to see that grow through the dispute resolution program, I think, for many provinces and states. So when you're actually at a hearing, a lot of the stuff that you would have, and I watch hearings, it's almost like a TV show. It's weird. I don't know. I don't want to call it a TV show because you're learning so much from it, but you get to see how everything works. And that is an education for landlords to really tune into if it's digital and online for their area. But when you're there, and let's say that you sent in your information and they didn't get it, but they're now asking for you to send that information, they're not going to be waiting for you to be like ruffling through your papers. They're not going to be waiting for you to scan it in and then, send it off to them. Everything needs to be on that at your fingertips. So if you're there on the screen talking with your adjudicator, your tenant's there, your paralegal's there, you really want to make sure that everything is a hop, click, and a jump in order to make sure that they have the evidence just in case, because again, our system in Ontario, and I know that there's probably others, but they have little loopholes or little errors within their system. Things can get lost. They may not get the whole thing. So having everything digital and having everything at your fingertips is going to be a great way to make sure that you're fully prepared for your hearing when the time comes.
Yes. The answer is yes. Awesome. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I've got so many questions, because I also want to talk about a little bit more on the automation and having some of those standard operating procedures and checklists and things like that. Like even Kayla, as you were talking, I started thinking, oh yeah, you know what? Because I've got properties in different provinces and in different countries, and they each have different requirements. So in some places you have to do the lead paint, or most, but I mean lead paint disclosures or bed bug disclosures, and like various things of locations have various checklists. So I'm assuming that within the platform, you're able to set up like sort of jurisdictional checklists of forms that you would need standard for that particular property, at least. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all customizable. I saw a lot of questions about different regions as well. The system is, we don't say customizable. When you say customizable, it needs hardcore development experience. It's configurable. So for example, if you're in Ontario, you want to upload a lease with 25-page addendum, you have that option to do it within our system. And you have another property in Alberta, you can have your lease with certain specific signatures and initials you want. So the system is super configurable, and you can customize it to the way you want to use it, right? Like you said, in the US, there's different rules and different leasing agreements that they need to sign. For example, they can take deposit in some states. In Ontario, we can't. We can build that into the rental application process. So the system is flexible enough to build that so that maybe they pay the deposit first. We actually have a landlord who actually collects the deposit with an application. And they'll say, if you're really serious, pay the deposit and submit the application. If I approve you, you're in. There's no going back, right? So we can configure things like that as well. That
Based
way,
on, that's really remarkable.
it makes life easy. So that, I mean, it's super flexible and it makes life easy for everyone.
Very cool. And I see, don't worry, Jen, I see your question and a bunch of you will get to them for sure. There's lots of them. And Jen is talking about the transaction fee, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute, because I want to just highlight a couple other features that you folks have. So maybe moving a little bit from the problems or whatever have you, but some of your features that are your top 3 features that you offer. So who wants to take that one?
I could talk about my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
go for it.
I feel like we're on Family Feud. Okay, you hit the button first. Go, Kayla.
I know I'm normally a silence that kills me. I got 4 kids, so it's like I gotta start speaking or someone or start yelling at somebody. I like the rental application. You know, when you're looking at, you know, trying to rush out to your door and you're trying to get that the papers printed off, and you're now trying to rush out to the door and not knowing when it's coming back, writing the wrong email information. Everything is there in order to keep you organized for it. And the concept of that pre-authorized debit, like Andrew said, it's like when you're doing the tenant screening and it's saying, oh, by the way, just letting you know that I do pre-authorized debit. So the money just automatically comes out of your account monthly. And they go, oh my God, really? That's awesome. I don't even have to send an email money transfer. And then, you know, let's pursue this type of tenant. They're like, oh, well, I don't really like that. I just do email money transfers. Is that okay? You know, this is where you're going to start to really help it with your screening process of what you're going to be offering as a service to them. And they're just going to be more willing to know that you're a professional, and they can't trick you into agreeing to accept them as tenants. And that's what we have to understand, that we have a lot of great tenants out there, but we do have those few that can really take your plan and your financial freedom that you're looking to achieve by real estate, and they can drastically dramatize that in a way that it's going to probably discourage you from investing again. So we really want to make sure that we hammer home how this service is going to also work with the concept of screening for the great tenant that we're looking for.
Yeah, and that's so important. And even like regardless of your demographic, I mean, and I'm yes, using broad demographic in terms of no matter what age we are these days. I mean, there are people on tech, and they're I mean, my grandmother, for example, in her 90s learned how to use email. Like that was, yeah, she was on it. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know how we're related, but anyways, so she was right there. She wanted all the new technology and all this stuff. So, you know, regardless of, you know, your tenant profile or your preferred client, whether they're Gen Z or millennial or Gen X, or beyond, there's this idea of having automatic, having it efficient, having it through even apps and things like that for streamlined communication. So it really spans the breadth for that tenant screening, regardless of age and demographics. So that's pretty cool. Andrews, all right. I guess on Family Feud, they don't like this or whatever. You did a great job, Kayla. Great job.
Good stuff. And that's something definitely I mean, if I had an application like I did with Tenant Cube, I don't think the drug dealer would have ever filled that application because it asked them for documents. And I would have saved $15,000 just by sending that link to them, make it look like I'm not a rookie landlord, buddy. I track stuff, right? That could have kind of persuaded them not to fill in that application. That's one security. My favorite feature that I kind of love is the one feature that I really didn't talk about the problem, but it is a lot of paperwork is expense tracking. I hate having shoe boxes and receipts stored in shoe boxes for all my properties. So what we do today is a expense tracking tool that adds to your income side, right? Like we automatically pull money from our tenants, gets added to my income every month. And if I spend anything at all for each property, I snap a receipt, upload it right onto the property from within Tenant Cube. So at the end of the year, it's just a one Excel file export that can be sent out to my accountant to file taxes rather than having to chase shoe boxes and who paid rent, who didn't pay rent, how much did I spend for each property. I got it all covered inside an app, and it's just a simple export that gets sent out, and I could do my profit loss right there.
This is
General ledger
interesting.
tracking. Wow.
Yeah, Vincent, I was actually going to ask you about that. I mean, from other technologies that you've seen from probably, I know like Dext or HubDoc or other things that you upload receipts to. So what are your thoughts on that?
I love it. If we could centralize a database just like this is, where you record your rents and the expenses with the receipts and pictures of the receipts right there, all in the central database. And at the end of the year, you just print it off, give it to the accountant. Your books are always, here's a beauty piece. On the dashboard, you'll always know what your profit loss is. Like it's right there. You know, if you were to do this manually, you can't. When I was researching this, now I'm going to get going. When I was researching this, the best part of the solution was the 7-step process. And I went through it. There's 7 steps. There was a list of property. There's applicant tracking, tenant screening, lease management, so everything about the lease, online rent payments, work order management, and then the rent guarantee. So when you went through the 7 steps, the 7 main features, it was amazing to see that. And there was another piece that that was talked about, which was the resources, right? So within the site, I seen Alberta has its own lease agreements, BC, Ontario. You provide all the samples. So there's such a blog and information set there that helps all the landlords too. So with all the centralized information and the ability to customize it or configure it, yeah, it's definitely is amazing tool set. I wanted to know more about rent guarantee. That one was interesting. That's a feature I want to know about.
All right, way to ask a good one, Vincent.
It's great. I mean, you learn things by talking to landlords, right? I mean, I started off with solving my problem of I won't be an idiot moving forward. I needed to track everything. I needed to put everything in place. So I did that. And then as we talked to more landlords, there's one piece that we always went back to where, what if my landlord, like talking about that peace of mind, right? I know they've set up an EFT, but what happens when the money is not in the bank? What happens if they don't pay us? Right? We kept getting those questions. And I said, and then we went to talk to a lot of different vendors and partners where we found a vendor who could actually take that initial risk. So now takes the onus off of the landlord. All that you're doing is you're listing your property, collecting applications, and you can say, you know what, can you guarantee rent for this tenant? So the vendor, the third party vendor that we have does the entire screening process for you. They screen the tenants and they say, you know what, yep, I can guarantee rent for this applicant. So that way for 5% of your rent, if they don't pay rent, you're covered up to $60,000 and I think up to 12 months of rent payment, so that we know in Ontario it takes forever to kick a tenant out. So they take that liability. Think of it as an assurance product. So it's more that, yeah, they are qualified. I will take that risk. You as a small landlord, I know you got mortgages to pay. If the tenant does not pay, we'll pay you and then help you with the eviction process.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So rent guarantee. So you're pretty much guaranteed X amount of dollars at the end of the year, whether
Correct.
tenant pays or not.
That's right. every month, right? So if
Every month,
one
yeah.
month the tenant is delayed, then you start the quick process of applying for that. It's almost, think of it as an insurance. When something goes wrong with your car, you call the insurance company, they put you on a rental car. So think of it as your rent is paid from a vendor that's guaranteeing that rent.
And so is
while
that
you work on that.
just by using Tenant Cube, the platform, that rent guarantee product is available?
It is a like pay as you go kind of a model. Like not every landlord wants that rent guarantee piece. Like if they
Right.
wanted, like we have some landlords with 10 properties and they have rent guarantee on just a couple of them. They'll say, these two, I want you to guarantee my rent, which is a separate charge that it's
Okay,
an
so like
add-on.
this is an a la carte kind of
Correct.
charge. Okay,
Exactly.
all right.
Yeah, because we do offer credit checks and everything within our screening process. Like we talked about that, we have an option to purchase credit report. So we always say, like Kayla mentioned, you always get that information in an application. Everything is in one place, but we always say trust, but verify. So there's a button where you can click and generate a quick credit report in less than 30 seconds. You can pay for it, or you can let the applicant pay for it. A lot of landlords today we deal with this, they let the tenant pay or the applicant pay, and they'll say, oh, we'll deduct it off your first month's rent if you get approved. So if you're really serious, click on this link, pay that $22 for me to pull your credit report. And if I approve you, you'll get, if I deny you or whatever, like I'll give you our first month's rent, we'll give your money back. So show me that you're really interested and you really want this property, right? So those are things that get built in.
Don't
Sorry,
take a
Kayla?
photocopy. Don't take a copy from the tenant. You really have to go through that service. Everything is being photoshopped these days, from pay stubs to the actual credit checks that they're trying to provide the landlord. So always either trying to pull it yourself or have that option to where it's being pulled, where you know it's a valid source. It's just that the tenants are going to be paying for it, but at least you know that it's being pulled and that it's not going to be counterfeit.
Yeah, 100%. That's very, very important. And I'm seeing some questions here that I'd like to just swap over to. Is Jan is asking, thank you, Jan. Does Tenant Cube manage a variety of rental types in one system? So for example, can you do residential short-term, residential long-term, and also commercial? I'm assuming commercial multifamily, Jan. You're not talking about like triple net leases or anything like that, because that would probably fall outside of the scope. Okay, yeah, I'm good. So multifamily, residential, STRs, the whole gamut?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were initially built for individual, landlords focused on long-term rental, but the expense tracking tool is something that a lot of the short-term rentals love it, because you're buying stuff every day. You're buying coffee pots and towels and cleaning and everything. Makes your life much.
Baskets and toilet paper.
Exactly. So there's a lot of expenses. There's a lot of expenses that go with it. So some features like that, they might not do an application, right? They might not run applications for those kind of properties, but the expense tracking will be a big requirement there, right? And if you have commercial units, for example, big buildings and stuff, that's where the QR code kind of an experience comes in, where right now we have, when there's something wrong, you submit a work order using a QR code. And we are actually moving to helping landlords generate revenue from that as well, where you can add a couple of services that you offer onto the QR code and let your tenant pay for it first before they submit the work order. So for something like, oh, I lost my key, I need a replacement key. Great, that's $69. Click here, pay, I'll get my work order, I'll get it done for you. Right? So rather than doing it and then chasing that $60 or $30 from your tenant, we want to move in that direction where you scan your QR code. Great, there are 3 options. You could order key replacement, you can order a parking spot, whatever. Pay for it, got it. We'll get back to you within 24 hours with the new key, or 48 hours, however that is, right? So those are things that we are kind of progressing towards. It could be used in the commercial setting for sure.
Andrews, this is, and thank you for referring to that. This is really revolutionary. Like I should say, it's a part of the revolution of real estate prop tech, but it's revolutionary. I mean, you're so proactive in what you've considered and brought into this. And I mean, there's exactly wow, wow, wow. I'm drooling. The comments are like, wow, you can add this as a guarantee, like a rent guarantee or a la carte this or whatever. It is really, really amazing. And all of this, and I mean, I apologize if I said it was cheap, but I mean, like, dude, I had to
Affordable.
because I know affordable is the correct term, but I'm just astounded. So why don't you tell us a little bit about just how affordable and efficient your pricing is?
Great. So it's a simple pricing. It's $2 per unit per month. That's as simple as that.
Time out. Look at everyone's like rolling over and giggling, like, what? $2 a unit a month? Okay. Are you feeling good? Like, I'm feeling great. I'm so excited. So I've already started inputting properties, people. I don't know about you, but like, how can you not? So carry on.
Yeah. So it's $2 a unit a month. Anything additional, like we said, right? I mean, we didn't want to add a big plan of $199. You get XYZ, you get 5 credit reports. If you guys are not renting or leasing a property for 6 months, why pay for it? So everything else, like credit report is a la carte. If you're leasing it, you want to push to multiple sites, that's a feature that you use when you need it, right? And rent collection obviously is per transaction. Anytime you use that transaction, there's a transaction fee, right? So we kept it as simple as possible, remove the frictions as possible, right? So it's just $2 right now a unit. And like I said, there's no implementation fee. There is no, oh, we help you with data, but there's a $900 data import fee, bank setup fee, nothing. Everything is digitally built into the system. All the integrations, even with leases, we have built integrations with e-lease partners. It gets automatically built into your system. There's no additional fee for any setup. And we do also offer customer service. We take phone calls and we have a chat window within our system for the $2 we charge. We're not like some of the companies. I would say, oh yeah, at this plan, you only get email support. If you need extra support, you got to move to our enterprise plan. We offer support. I mean, it's worked for us, and I think the reason we built it, the why we built it is more important for us. So we want to keep it as simple as possible and grow the ecosystem. At the end of the day, our goal is if I can save a few landlords from the situation I was a few years ago, that's a job well done for us. So that's kind of our purpose, and that's how our pricing is what it is today.
And I really appreciate that, Andrews. It really speaks to your and Kayla and the Tenant Cube team of your credibility and of your character, that you're really about solving problems so that other people don't have to experience what you did, and making it as affordable and accessible as possible. So yeah, thank you for that. I do have a couple of questions that I'd like to make sure that we address. And Al is asking, what does your app do that other similar apps don't? So if you could compare yourself maybe to some of your competitors, I don't know, or.
Yeah, I think overall I can tell you, I mean, one thing we just mentioned, support service. If you want to be welcomed, Tenant Cube is the place to be. If you want to just feel like I'm just one of their account and nobody cares about me, there are tons of other apps out there. And the other thing that we always pride upon, a lot of our customers tell us, is that we have built everything into a single platform, right? Like, so for example, you don't need an engineering degree, is what we say. Like you said, Jen, our salesperson always says, it's super easy. My grandma can use this. So the simplicity of using a system is what we see and hear from our customers, right? You don't need a degree to run the system. That's one thing. And then obviously affordability is the next thing that I don't think you could ever compete on price with us. It's the model we have built on, where we want to service the smaller landlords, which there's a lot of systems. If you get close to our competition, there will be a minimum of $100. There will be a $69 platform fee plus. There is not many pluses with us. It's just $2 a unit. Come use it. Share your knowledge. Let's track information in one place so that we can help each other. And obviously for the great tenants, we've also built on artificial intelligence and data. So we help the good tenants build a credit rental history with us and help them move and find homes better through our ecosystem. So we want to build an ecosystem where if someone from Ontario moves to Calgary, they take that rental history with us and they can find a property within our ecosystem.
Oh, so you end up being almost a reference track for the tenant itself, himself, herself, themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay. Yeah. So I think that touches on a lot of differences as well. And one thing I'd like to vouch for, because I experienced it this week when I was going in there and I didn't go through the link that was here. So please use this link, because you'll be even getting, maybe Paige, if you want to pop that in the chat, getting even more maybe preferred treatment, who knows. But I went in through the back door there and I was trying out my stuff, and then all of a sudden on LinkedIn, hey, this is, and I got full on amazing service. So it's true. So thank you for that. And then I see that there was another question that I wanted to make sure, because Naran was asking, thank you, Naran, is this only for do-it-yourself landlords, or how would you use this if you were working with a property manager?
Yeah, that's again a great question. We don't restrict our platform to only do-it-yourself landlord. I mean, it's a similar system. And I also saw a question, I can probably answer that. Do you have multiple people log in? Absolutely. You can add additional property managers inside the same $2 fee per unit. You can have additional property managers and also handymen added to the system, so that you can just assign a work order to them. They see it on their phone. They can just take pictures and close tickets from their phone. Everything is included. So you have multiple people with access to the system. Just to finish off with that question, yeah, absolutely. I think the multiple user login is definitely one thing I wanted to touch upon. And property managers, we've seen people use that, where you just log in as a account owner. You have all the landlords added to the system as well, and you can manage their properties on their behalf and give them access to view what you want them to see on the system. So it is possible, and people do use that that way as well. Yeah.
Awesome. I want to clarify something, because I probably made an error, like a little confusion. So Tammy, you don't need a QR code at all. I was just so shocked by it that I probably put a little bit too much emphasis on it, because it blows my mind. But yes, you don't have to have QR codes in any way, shape, or form. When you go in and check out the system, you'll find that that's like next level. Correct? Am I right, Andrews, Kayla?
Absolutely. And every tenant gets a mobile app as well. So they can log into the app, they can submit it from the app, they can still go to your website. We can give you a code so they can fill out a form on your website. Every option is available. QR code is kind of an easier way to kind of help them with the adoption. And to answer another question here, internet cost, additional expenses. There's two kinds of expenses. One is property expense and one is a general expense. So if it is a general expense, you throw it on the general ledger. And if it is a property expense, you choose which property that expense is for, so that it gets added to that property's return, so that you know how profitable each property is.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that, because I was definitely going to bring that up. It was a very good question, Al. I want to be mindful of our time, because, oh my gosh, we could talk for forever.
Yes.
And we're already well over an hour.
I had one statement to make, though. While researching this and interviewing it, one of the reasons why I love TenantCube so much, it's actually one of the things Andrews has said in our interview. And so I listened really carefully on what he says. And it's the roadmap of the product itself is actually based on customer feedback, which is huge. So they listen to what the landlords are saying. They're saying, hey, you can improve it by doing this or adding this feature. And they take it, they put it in a release plan, and then they bring it to life. So that's key when looking at products. And hey, is there a feedback loop, or is it just one directional? So in this case, it's bi-directional, which is awesome. So I just wanted to give kudos to you on that, because that's key for a huge, for a product to be successful in the market. You need that feedback loop. So thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Michael.
Sorry,
that's a great question. Sorry, I just saw a question. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat and I'm just answering questions. Sorry, just if it's too much time, just let me know. But one thing I wanted to bring back that point that you just mentioned, Vince, was that we are actually asked about this feature that Michael just asked about scheduled maintenance. So we are currently designing a work orders app, a section inside the work order, which will automatically recurring work orders and recurring expenses. So for example, if you want to change filter every 3 months, you set it up as a recurring every 3 months, bring it back on open, assign it to my handyman so that he can go change it, take a picture and close it. So that way I know it's done, it's tracked. We are currently working on that. And again, it all came through with my 5 properties, didn't really matter to me too much. I can just put it on my calendar and go do it. But we have landlords with 60 units, 70 units, they kind of lose track of which one has what kind of filter. So we also have an option where they can actually upload documents for each of these units and store warranty information. They can store information related to master key code to those houses and all that. So if they ever need to go back and look at it, everything is available to them within our system.
And that's huge for a lot of our members, are whatever stage they're at, but there's a lot of the Real Estate Wealth Lab members who are looking to expand their portfolios internationally, or have already gone somewhere else and still have their Canadian portfolios and expanding in US and Mexico, Costa Rica, you name it, you're all out there. And so this really allows some flexibility for them to, schedule those. I see so many questions, and this is awesome because we just wanted to introduce you to Tenant Cube today. This is just an introduction.
I know.
So, I mean, believe it or not. So we're actually having Andrews. I don't know if you're joining us next week or not, Kayla, but Andrews and Vincent and Ken, our Chief Operating Officer, are going to go for a test drive in the system with a full demo. And I am definitely going to be watching that recording right as soon as I possibly can, because that will be absolutely incredible. So I want you all to join us. I'm going to actually just share my screen if you don't mind once again. Hopefully I do this right. Share. And so again, as a reminder, so again, I know we're talking about QR codes, but you don't need QR codes. That was just an added benefit. You can also just get this link. You can go in and check out Tenant Cube and start playing around even before next week so that you can come prepared with some awesome questions. Because don't you find that when you get into a system and you start playing with it, you want to know, oh, what does this actually do? And you'll be able to go hands-on deep dive with all of the technology people that you need. So go in, play with it, use this code right now, that link, and Paige will pop that in the chat again. And then again, you can come to our Community Leaders Lab next week. We're going to go through that as a deep dive. It's going to be amazing. This little scanning situation here will just get you registered for next week, and you can come and learn more about it. And we're going to get the rest of your questions answered for sure. Yeah, Jan, wait, for free for 3 or less units. This is really crazy, amazing. Yes, it is. I know. So we're really excited to be working with and collaborating and learning from Tenant Cube to see how we can be more efficient rental housing providers. So again, for those of you who are joining us out there in the world online, or who aren't members here, you're just guests today, please come and join us for our 30-day free trial and invite your friends. Now's the time, because we have a lot coming up on May 25th that we're announcing. And Paige, am I allowed to say? Yeah, I don't know that we're going to have a 30-day free trial after May 25th, because kind of like Tenant Cube, we are offering a whole lot, very affordable, and therefore there probably won't be much of a free trial after that. So come on out, check us out before then. And again, this is what you have to look forward to. And next week with Tenant Cube, you're going to go into that revolution for sure. Kayla, Andrews, and Vincent, But I'll let ladies go first. Any last words that you'd like to share, or anything else that you'd like to contribute today before we sign off?
No, I just want to be able to thank you for giving us the opportunity to come on and speak with your members. Love what you have to offer, because it's always about that education for our members to make sure that they get the education to make them stronger investors so that they don't fall in with error. So I'm very appreciative of what you guys do and what you have to offer for your members.
Awesome. Thank you, Kayla. And I know that there were questions about front lobby earlier in this, and you and I were talking the other day, and I think that we may have to have you back and talk more about the lobbying and the Ontario Landlord Tenant Board and things like that. That might be something that would be beneficial for you folks.
I never got to see the comments because I didn't have my glasses. I was looking everywhere. And then Andrew's like, oh, the comments. I'm like, I can't see them.
Well, we got you, and we'll have you back so we can talk about that more in depth, because that's a whole separate on its own. So thank you for being here, Kayla.
Thank you.
Andrews?
Again, thanks for the opportunity. Like Kayla mentioned, I think this is great that you guys are helping landlords think about the future, build a plan, and I think we are just a tool. We're just an enabler using technology. So it's great to work with industry members like you guys and meet landlords every day. So again, we're just trying to help a tiny bit, but yeah, I would look forward to building that ecosystem with everybody and making it super useful for everyone.
Yeah, well, in this business, every teeny tiny weeny little bit of help is certainly appreciated. So I threw up a heart for you. Thank you. And Vincent.
Oh my God, next week we're unleashed without Jennifer. So we're going to be back going through this, Andrews, in depth, going through a demo. I'm excited. I want to showcase what this product has and how it could help the landlords and tenants too, building their profiles. So there's a lot here. And for people that went to, court or anything like this, having a proper system centralized and showing you're legit as a landlord pays dividends. Trust me, I've been there, done that. So can't wait till next week.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to our members who are here today. It's so great to see you. And you're going to be in great hands next week going for a test drive. And then, of course, May 25th, we've got our research lab. And come a little early if you want a preview of everything that we've got going on for you as members. So just a heads up that so the May 25th research lab is going to be epic. So come on out and we'll see you then. So thank you so much, everyone. Tune in next time.